Hello, and welcome to another economics homework help video. This video looks at locating the equilibrium price and quantity on a supply and demand schedule. In the next section, we're going to take a brief moment to review the concepts of supply, demand, and market equilibrium. Before looking at finding the equilibrium price and quantity on a graph with a supply curve and a demand curve, let's review the following concepts of supply schedule, supply curve, demand schedule, and demand curve. Let's also take a minute to review the concept of market equilibrium. The supply of the good represents the amount of a good that firms are willing and able to supply at different prices. For example, a table representing the supply of cups of coffee might look something like the table on the screen. Notice that as the price increases, the quantity of cups of coffee supplied increases as well. So as the price increases, firms are more willing to supply more of the good. Economists label this type of relationship a direct relationship between price and quantity. On a graph, a line or curve represents the supply schedule by graphing the prices and their associated quantities. Notice that the supply curve slopes up and to the right. Demand for a good represents the amount of a good that an individual is willing and able to purchase at different prices. Demand for a good may be represented as a schedule or table of prices and their associated quantities. For example, a demand schedule for cups of coffee might look something like this. Notice as the price of a cup of coffee increases, the quantity of cups of coffee demanded decreases. So individuals demand less of a good when its price increases. Economists label this type of relationship an inverse relationship between price and quantity. Demand schedules may be represented as a line or a curve by graphing the prices and their associated quantities. Notice that the demand curve slopes downward and to the right. The term equilibrium means that the system is in balance. There's no tendency for the system to change. In terms of supply and demand, the equilibrium point is where consumers are willing to purchase the same quantity of goods as firms are ready to supply at the same price. On a graph with the supply curve and a demand curve on it, the equilibrium point is where the demand curve crosses the supply curve. Let's take a minute to look at this point in some detail, why the equilibrium point is where the demand curve crosses the supply curve using cups of coffee. If the price of the firm is willing to accept for a cup of coffee is $6, it will supply 12 cups of coffee. However, if the cup of coffee is $6, consumers are only willing to purchase 4 cups of coffee. At a price of $6 per cup of coffee, the quantity supplied, 12 cups of coffee, is greater than the quantity demanded of 4 cups of coffee. Since the amount of coffee supplied by firms is greater than that demanded by consumers, the quantities are not equal. Therefore, the market is not in equilibrium. If the price the firm is willing to accept for a cup of coffee is $3, it will supply 6 cups of coffee. However, if the price of a cup of coffee is $3, consumers are only willing to purchase 10 cups of coffee. At $3 per cup of coffee, the quantity supplied, 6 cups, is less than the quantity demanded of 10 cups of coffee. Since the amount of coffee supplied by firms is less than that demanded by consumers, the quantities are not equal. Therefore, the market is not in equilibrium. Finally, if the price the firm is willing to accept for a cup of coffee is $4, it will supply 8 cups of coffee. If a cup of coffee costs $4, consumers are willing to purchase 8 cups of coffee. At the price of $4 per cup of coffee, the quantity supplied, 8 cups of coffee, is equal to the quantity demanded of 8 cups of coffee. Since the amount of coffee supplied by the firms is equal to the amount of coffee demanded by consumers, the quantities are equal. Therefore, the market is in equilibrium. Notice on the graph the place where the quantity supplied is equal to the quantity demanded is where the supply curve crosses the demand curve. Next, let's look at an example of locating the equilibrium price and quantity. On the graph of supply and demand for tablet computers, locate the equilibrium price and quantity. There are 2 strategies to find the equilibrium price and quantity. The first method is 1. Compare the quantity demanded with the quantity supplied at the lowest price. If the quantity demanded is not equal to the quantity supplied, then the price is not the equilibrium price. 2. Compare the quantity demanded with the quantity supplied at the next lowest price. If the quantity demanded is not equal to the quantity supplied, then the price is not the equilibrium price. 3. Repeat the second step until the quantity demanded is the same as the quantity supplied. 4. From the point where the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied are equal, read across to the price of the vertical axis and note the price. 5. From the point where the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied are equal, read down to the quantity or horizontal axis and note the quantity. You could also work downward from the highest price. The second method is much simpler. 1. Locate where the demand curve and the supply curve cross each other. 2. From the point where the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied are equal, read across the price or vertical axis and note the price. 3. From the point where the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied are equal, read down to the quantity or horizontal axis and note the quantity. Next, let's apply both methods to the problem statement. Now, let's use both strategies to find the equilibrium price and quantity. Let's start looking for the equilibrium point using the first strategy. The lowest price on the graph is $10. At a price of $10, the quantity supplied is 2 tablets, and the quantity demanded is 14 tablets. So the quantity supplied and the quantity demanded are not equal because the quantity supplied, 2 tablets, is less than the quantity demanded of 14 tablet computers. Let's increase the price to $20. The quantity supplied at $20 is 4 tablets, and the quantity demanded is 12 tablets. So the quantity supplied and the quantity demanded are not equal because the quantity supplied, 4 tablets, is less than the quantity demanded of 12 tablet computers. Once again, let's increase the price by $10 to $30 per tablet computer. The quantity supplied at $30 is 6 tablets and the quantity demanded is 10 tablet computers. So the quantity supplied and the quantity demanded are not equal because the quantity supplied, 6 tablets, is less than the quantity demanded of 10 tablet computers. Let's see if we increase the price by $10 more to $40, whether we can find the equilibrium price and quantity. The quantity supplied at $40 is 8 tablets and the quantity demanded is 8 tablets. So the quantity supplied and the quantity demanded are equal. Therefore, the market is in equilibrium. Economists refer to this point as the equilibrium point. Reading across from the equilibrium point to the price axis gives us an equilibrium price of $40. Reading down from the equilibrium point to the quantity axis gives an equilibrium quantity of 8 tablet computers. Now, let's look at the second method of locating the equilibrium point. This is probably a little more straightforward. First, let's locate the place on the graph where the supply curve and the demand curve cross each other. The fact that the two curves cross each other suggests that at that point the quantity supplied and the quantity demanded are equal. Second, reading across from the equilibrium point to the price axis gives the equilibrium price of $40. Third, reading down from the equilibrium point to the quantity axis gives the equilibrium quantity of 8 tablets. So the answer to the problem statement is that the equilibrium price is $40 and the equilibrium quantity is 8 tablet computers. This video looked at determining the equilibrium price and quantity from a graph. The video reviewed the concepts of supply, demand, and of the equilibrium price, that is, the price where the quantity supplied and the quantity demanded are equal. Next, the video reviewed a typical problem statement for finding the equilibrium price and quantity. The video provided 2 strategies for finding the equilibrium quantity and price. The first strategy suggests comparing the quantity demanded with the quantity supplied at each price, starting at the lowest price. Once the price was found where the quantity supplied was equal to the quantity demanded, the equilibrium price was read off of the price axis or the vertical axis, and the equilibrium quantity was read off the quantity axis or the horizontal axis. The second strategy, perhaps more realistic for most learners, suggested locating the place where the supply and demand curves crossed each other, and then reading the equilibrium price from the price axis and the quantity from the vertical axis. Finally, the video demonstrated how to use both strategies to find the equilibrium price and quantity. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please put them in the comments section below. If you have ideas for a homework help video, also please feel free to put them in the comments section below. Until the next video, good luck with your economic studies.